Dr. Zaleha, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam MC, Dr. Farhana. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and warm greetings to our honorable panelists, ladies and gentlemen. So, welcome to IUCEL Forum, which we're going to discuss about the future of e-learning. So, we'll just start then, yeah? Okay, we are honored to have all of you. Thank you so much for coming, all the professors. And let's see, when we talk about e-learning, right, Mohd actually comes into mind. Even in the Malaysia right now, it's the in thing that people have been talking about. Of course, we have other technologies. You know, we have gamification and apps and all that, but it seems that Mohd is the focus, right? So what exactly is Mohd? And there are so many issues as well, you know, on Mohd, and we hope to discuss that in this forum. So we'll be looking at the practices, issue and challenges, and finally we hope to gain some resolution out of this. Let's say if a certain institution wish, you know, to venture this seriously, what are the points that you should consider and practice, all right? So shall we begin with our first panelist, Prof. Karim? Maybe you would like to give like brief introductions of what exactly is Mohd and lend us your views, perhaps. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Zaleha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. I think MOOC, or Massive Open Online Courses, is a buzzword. And I'm a strong advocate and believer of MOOC. So, you know, when I speak about MOOC, of course, you know, all the positive aspect of MOOC. Because to me, MOOC is really a game changer in higher education nowadays, if you know how to leverage and take advantage of MOOC. So MOOC to me is a way to realize the United Nations or UNESCO Education for All. It's about reaching out, you know, global learners beyond our physical classroom. So this morning, I think Adam showed a slide from my blog. So that actually was a long article I wrote about MOOC, when there's a lot of discussion about the depth of MOOC and so on. Because I believe, you know, for a long time, our classroom has been, you know, we look at our classroom as so-called a secret garden, because what happens in the classroom remains in the classroom. So imagine, you know, when we teach our class, let's say of 100 students or 50 students or even, you know, more than that. So the knowledge that, you know, we share with our students, or even when we create the knowledge together, it will actually remain within the confine of the physical classroom. But if we can now take that knowledge out beyond the physical boundary of the classroom and reach out the global learners, thousands or even millions students or learners from around the world, in all the continents in the world. I think that will be the way or the mechanism how we can reach out the learner from all over the world and realize the education for all. So MOOC is about reaching out global learners and stepping out from our physical classroom.
So interesting. It's like making learning more socialized in a way, more globalized. So it's not like the student have to fulfill just this task of the classroom, isn't it?
Yeah.
It become more than that.
Yeah.
So objective of the students in learning has become more wider. This is interesting, but then again, there are so many challenges, you see, to implement this sort of learning properly through MOOC. So we have issues of gaining deep engagement, especially. Gaining deep understanding among the students and all that. So what is your view on this? Perhaps Dr. Karim, Prof. Karim or Prof. Norazah would like to answer that.
Yeah,
Prof. Norazah,
maybe over to me, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Zach. Okay, as we know, MOOC, there are many eager supporters, and at the same time, there are avid criticizers on the implementation of MOOC. And MOOC in our continent is considered new, and it is technology-based, it is networking-based, and so many things yet to be tested. And as we know from yesterday's keynote, and I know Prof. Karim also has presented on learning designer, we as an academic should go into learning designer. And learning designing is, when we design, we have to see who are our stakeholders. We have to learn that our stakeholders are the 21st century learners. And as research has shown, learners of the 21st century, those part of Gen Y, Gen Z, and all that, their characteristics includes they want to be mobile, they want to be connected, they need personalized learning, they are going from downloading material into uploading material in their own space in the cloud. They are going into personalized learning. They are mobile, then they want to be connected. So in my opinion, what we design, especially in MOOC, should suit what is needed by the 21st century learners. And as we know, MOOC, some of the positive characteristics as myself experienced in designing the MOOC under the Ministry of Education, that is ethnic relation. When I design as an instructional designer, I really look at the framework and all that. And the good thing that we experience is MOOC. It can really implement it in many platforms. About the connectivity, and as long as there is connectivity, MOOC can be achieved. Second, we can develop using any language that we like. Of course, it depends on our target group. So in many MOOCs that we see in the internet are in English, but the ethnic relation or hubungan ethnic that we have developed, I think UPM also under Ministry of Education developed the TITAS, also in Malay. So, and it has proven that although the two courses are developed in different, not in an international language, it still has followers. And other advantages are personalized learning and flexible learning, contextual, and really create lifelong learners, because it really meet the context of each individual learners. And despite the many advantages that I mentioned just now, of course, there are some challenges. Yeah, of course, in developing, when we did the analysis of the perception and all that, user says that is among the participants a bit chaotic, because some of the course fit needs their content. They are also partly the content provider, because they are networking, they are discussing things, and they need to input their own material in there. So they need to be critical in responding to the issues in the MOOC, in whatever material uploaded. And also, people who need or who like to follow MOOC, they need to be digitally literate. They have to be not really computer savvy, but they need to have that attitude. And also, one of the biggest challenges, according to them, are they need to be very, very strong in self-directed learning behavior or experience. If they don't discipline themselves, they won't be at the good track. So that is also part of challenges also needed and also found in the research. But yes, MOOC, since there are many advantages, then the disadvantage, it also, the surplus of the MOOC, what I see is MOOCs, they don't stop although the course closes, because after the course closes, there are still students in the network. They continue, then they are networking in the other platform. So that is a good thing about that. Because they are in the same area of interest. So they create the community of practices out of the MOOC. So that's the good thing I see, the advantage, the big surplus with this MOOC. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you, Prof. Norazah. So it seems that it all starts from individuals, isn't it? So it has to be an individual who's passionate about this, and it needs to have they need to have like digital literate skills and all that. And I like it when you point out the importance of implementing pedagogy inside the MOOC. So MOOC basically is just a platform, as you suggested. And when it comes to language, when you talk about language just now, that is interesting, because we have another research before this, where we distribute the survey in Malaysia. Yeah, it's related to video. Maybe we can relate something with this, because MOOC also you need to upload a video in it. So most of the audience, they prefer to have it in Malay, with English subtitle, for example. So I think language is very important to attract audiences. So I like that point as well. So there, you have pointed out so many of the benefits and advantages of MOOC. But okay, can I move to Prof. Inge now then? Okay. Prof. Inge, you seem to have a different view on this. Like Dutch institution, I've seen many Dutch institutions implement MOOC. Okay, but you somehow, coming from the Dutch institution, one of the Dutch institutions seems to have another view. So can you lend us your view on this?
Thank you for the question, and thanks for the invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think MOOCs are a really valuable contribution, and I totally agree with Professor Norazah next to me. Thank you. With all the advantages, but I also see a big challenge, and that is engagement. And the engagement in MOOCs is really difficult, and as you pointed out, self-regulated learning is a very important aspect to engage learners in MOOCs, and especially young learners that we have here at the universities that are just coming in first years. It would be really challenging for them to engage in these environments if it's so online. So I think their blended solutions might actually help students to engage in these activities and make these activities more meaningful. So in that perspective, I'm really enthusiastic about the MOOC development here, but I also think for young learners with low prior knowledge, it's really important to engage them in some real life community as well. And I know that one is not necessarily outlying the other one. As for the developments in the Netherlands, there are a few universities that have MOOCs, mostly as a commercial perspective, so mostly to attract new students, not as profound as I've seen it here in Malaysia, so not as, not for credits, not as clear and comparing online courses as I've seen that here.
Okay, Prof. Inge, sorry, I think it's a bit disturbing. Can you hear Prof. Inge clearly? Yeah, can we borrow your mic? Give it a try. Yeah. Can we try this mic then? Apologize for the technical problem.
Yeah, that's
Better? Thank you. So back to that just now. You were saying?
Yeah, I was saying, oh yeah, much better. That Dutch universities at this point in time use MOOCs to attract students. So there are a lot of MOOCs for high school students to attract them to the universities and to help them make choices for different topics and different fields that they're going to study. There's some courses, but they're mostly not for credit, and there are big differences between the different universities. So everybody has his own MOOC policy, and we do not have an overreaching policy like I've seen here in Malaysia, and I think that's really something very nice to have because it unifies the universities together and it makes the whole accrediting of MOOC activity much easier to do. So I'm really impressed with what I've seen here on that perspective.
So in Netherlands, you're saying that MOOC function more like a medium of advertisement, more as an attraction for. But is it used for just locally? You know, it's because we try to attract outsiders, and I've seen many MOOCs in Dutch language. So how do you cater this? Are you only focused on the local context?
Yeah, I think most of the, well, there are some English MOOCs, so if you look at some subjects that universities are really big in, they will have an English MOOC attracting international students as well, but the primary focus for bachelor students is still in the Dutch local area. So when you want to attract people from high school, you'll have a Dutch MOOC on the topics that you're teaching, and that's what we see happening quite a lot. So they're directed at high school students to get them into the different topics and get them interested. So that's a slightly different approach from that perspective.
Lovely. So it works at first for Coursera, I think. Coursera started off with that intention of promoting and using MOOCs and advertisement to advertise all the institution. But then they have moved another step, right? And they have offered assessment through MOOCs. And I think assessment is actually another issue with MOOC, isn't it? And especially now Malaysia themselves, we're moving towards credit transfer. I think most of us are aware of that. And on the 27th of September, the ministry will be launching the credit transfer guideline. And since we have here with us Prof. Lim Cher Ping, okay, his field is very much in curriculum and assessment. So we would appreciate that you would lend us your view when it comes to assessment. How do we comprehend, the issue with assessing students through MOOC?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Zach. I think we have spoken quite a bit about MOOCs, and it's like the advantages, disadvantages, what is being used for, what are the opportunities, the limitations. When we are looking at MOOCs, I think one of the key issues that we face as educators at times is the assessment part. Like, how do we effectively assess the students, right? Given that some of the courses that you run, right, would involve more than 1,000 students. So how do you effectively be able to assess them on an ongoing basis? Because we are not just looking at the summative assessment at the end of the course, we are looking at ongoing assessment throughout the whole course itself, right? So that would be one of the key challenges that we have. I may probably share with you some of the experiences that I had, working with a couple of the universities, namely the Institute of Education in London, where we were running a course on ICT in primary education for about 8,000 students all around the world. And what we did was a big focus of the assessment was actually doing peer assessment, which means that it was the peers that are assessing the digital artifacts of the students, right? So every 2 or 3 weeks, right, the students are expected to submit a digital artifact, right, which would then be assessed by the students. But the thing is, by doing so, you are actually making one big assumption of the students, just like the assumption that you assume that all students know how to learn, right? In this case here, you're assuming that all students know how to assess, right? So the question then is, how do we scaffold the students so that they could effectively assess their peers, right? The artifacts that is produced by their peers, which means that there need to be a lot of hands-holding, a lot of the modeling by the instructor, maybe during the first few weeks of the course, right? And then after that, providing a lot of fixed scaffolds that include things like assessment rubrics, whereby it is very descriptive in nature, whereby the students are able to look at the description, right, for each of the level of competencies and be able then to be able to access the other students as effectively as possible, right? But things, of course, besides more qualitative type of assessment tasks, there would of course be the usual, the MCQ, etc., right, which would then be something that would complement the qualitative ones, right? So, what I'm basically trying to say is, you would expect a range of the assessment task. It can be quantitative, it can be qualitative. You would expect quite a bit of assessment done by peers, right? So when you look at MOOCs, M-O-O-C, the C is always seen as a cause, but I think based on what the panel have said, the C at times really is looking at the community, right? So rather than the course, it's like massive open online. Course is a massive open online, like the community. So it is the community that would then be assessing each other to see whether the expected outcomes of the course have been met or not met. Thank you.
Right. Oh, thank you for highlighting that out. Prof. Shipping, where it's important to have the qualitative and quantitative assessment as well when we try to assess students, tasks and all that. But now we need to know, right, since Malaysia is moving towards credit transfer, how would this affect, the lecturers, the students, right? So, and even lecturers themselves, they're already burdened by so many work, how can they cater another thing, like this has become the KPI, key performance indicator of the university, that you have to somehow implement blended learning, technologies, and MOOCs is one of it. So how do you think academician, the acceptance of academicians on this, Prof. Karim, what do you think?
The acceptance is always a big issue. I think as in everything new, there's always a resistance. We always expect resistance. So I think it's very important whether at the national level, ministry level, or at the university level, we need first to explain, the reason, the rationale, why we undertake, any kind of initiative, including this MOOC and also blended learning and going into, strongly into online learning. So I think the strategies would be to first to get a buy-in, to get a buy-in of the staff, to convince them that what are the benefits that the university as an institution can derive by doing MOOC or by doing blended learning, by infusing technology in teaching and learning. So, but yes, convincing the staff and explaining to the staff to get a buy-in is one of the things that we need to do. But I think more than that, we have to look at the whole ecosystem, the academic ecosystem in the university. So if we want to get the staff to do or to do more in their teaching, by doing blended learning and so on, but the other things, other elements in the ecosystem are not being addressed in terms of the support structure, in terms of the infrastructure especially. I think one of the main issues that why our staff are reluctant to go into technology, using technology, blended learning, and so on, is whether it's a real issue or an excuse. To me, it's a real issue. The infrastructure, the internet speed, the bandwidth. So those are one of the elements in the whole academic ecosystem that as a university, then the university management, I saw Prof. Rose just left, so I cannot address this point to her. But I think that's the top management have to look into creating the ecosystem that will support blended learning, that will support using technology, that will support MOOC. Now imagine now we have by end of the year we will have more than 100 Malaysia MOOCs on the platform. So I think the next phase of our MOOC implementation is to now get our academic staff, get the lecturers now to utilize, to leverage on this MOOC as part of the blended learning. But okay, we can tell them, okay, let's do more of this, let's use more of our MOOC. But then when come to the bandwidth, infrastructure and other things in the ecosystem, it doesn't support that. So that's the thing that I think we need to address. Recognition is another thing. They will spend a lot of time on doing this blended learning, MOOC and so on. But when come to recognition, promotion, everything, then it's not given a due credit. It just research, publication, and so on. So to me, the answer to this is to really push and drive this blended learning and MOOC agenda as a way forward is to create is to look at the whole ecosystem and address every element in that ecosystem that will support it.
Thank you, Prof. Karim. Okay, I do agree with you when it comes to ecosystem. But let's say we have the ecosystem. We'll take Netherlands for example, right? You have it all, the good technology, you name it, right? But still, you don't venture into credit transfer, right? That's quite interesting. Why don't you go into that? And Prof. Lim, I would like to ask again your view, on the feasibility of credit transfer. Do you think this really going to work? Because even in Malaysia, we haven't implemented that yet. So where do you see this going to go?
Yeah, I think just to tap upon Prof. Karim's the whole narrative about the importance of the institutional, you call it what? Institutional.
Support and ecosystem.
Yeah, you have got a term just now. Oh, the institutional ecosystem, right? So we really need to be looking at the macro level. What is the higher education landscape like in the Malaysia, right? Is there already a credit transfer, credit accreditation type of thing in place, right, among the universities that are going to be involved? So just now I spoke to you and you said yes, right? So that would probably be the necessary condition. So the foundation have already been set, that there is that credit transfer system across universities for face-to-face courses. That's a good start, right? That's definitely a good start. But the thing is, would that be enough to bring MOOCs courses forward in terms of transfer of credits across institutions, right? That would come to the next ecosystem issue, which is the quality assurance, right? Is there a quality assurance process for these MOOCs, right? And the thing is, I'm quite sure that there's already a set of quality assurance process for face-to-face courses across universities. So again, could that quality assurance process be used for quality assuring the MOOCs, right? Because it is only when the lecturers and the senior management in, for example, UTM, have faith in the MOOCs of USM providing the same quality, right, that is comparable to a 3-credit course, that the lecturers here would want their students to be taking the course, let's say in USM in Penang, right? So we need to ensure that at the ecosystem level, that quality assurance got to be in place, right? Then, of course, we come back to this whole issue of the assessment, which is again linked to the quality, right? So with respect to the assessment, is the assessment eventually going to be is it going to be valid? Is it going to be reliable? The basic questions of how do we know that the students that are taking that particular assessment task is the student that's supposed to be taking that assessment task. So there's the issue of validity and reliability as well as part of the quality assurance process. So I think if you're able to address all that issue, then I would say, hey, it's of course, there is that probability that the whole credit transfer using MOOCs may be a good way forward in Malaysia, especially when we are only talking about 20 universities involved, right, in the initial stage. Yeah.